38 other states have stand your ground law. 38 other states defend gun owners when they're forced to use defensive force, but not New York. We're going to fix that, guys, with stand your ground law. The bill's been filed in both chambers. Watch the video and then take action. Hey guys, Aaron Dory here at the New York State Firearms Association with some really exciting news for gun owners. You know, we spend almost all of our time here in New York State on defense for obvious reasons, trying to stop gun control here in Albany. And so while we're working on that and working to overturn last year's gun control law in federal court, we're also taking the fight to the gun grabbers, going on offense this session with stand your ground law. Guys, we're very pleased to announce that we've had stand your ground law filed in both chambers of the legislature. And guys, we're going to break down this bill for you. But if you're low on time, whatever else you do, hit the link above or below the video and tell your senator and your assemblyman, especially if they're Republicans, that you want them to co-sponsor this bill. So again, if you're pressed for time, hit the link, take action, and get that part accomplished no matter what. If you've got some more time, let me unpack the bill for you. Again, we're talking about S1120 and A5433. We have two of the, if not the two most ferocious pro-gun members of the legislature as our bill sponsors. In the Senate, we have George Borrello, pictured here to the right. Senator Borrello is from the Chautauqua area. And in the Assembly, we have David DiPietro, pictured right here. David is a ferocious gun rights champion, also from the Western New York area. So we have fantastic guys leading this charge on the inside. Now, what does this bill do? Why is it so important for New York to have this? And how can you guys help us advance the agenda? Well, to begin with, it should make you mad to know that 38 states have some form of stand your ground law. Here is a map from Wikipedia, and it shows exactly what I'm talking about. Every state in green, whether it's light green or dark green, have some form of stand your ground law. It could be through law. It could be through jury instructions. It could be through court precedent. But every one of these states has some form of stand your ground law. The states in blue, New York State being front and center, do not have that. And so what that means is that right now, if you use defensive, justifiable, and lawful force to defend yourself or somebody else, you are the one who's going to be facing criminal charges depending upon what county you live in. We have seen this happen repeatedly over the last couple of months in Manhattan. The DA, Alvin Bragg, hates gun owners. He's a walking, talking, Soros-backed leftist trash ball who, when that bodega owner defends himself against a violent criminal, he gets arrested. When a parking lot attendant shoots somebody who's trying to shoot him in self-defense, he gets arrested. But it's not just Manhattan. It's not just Alvin Bragg we have to worry about. Many different blue counties across the state, and perhaps even some purplish counties, would have a very similar reaction, because right now, according to the law, in most cases, we are required to retreat before we can use defensive force. That is the first thing our bill would do. Number one, it removes the requirement to retreat before using justifiable force in defense of yourself or somebody else. Now, note the key words there: justifiable force. Justifiable force is already spelled out in the code. So we're not changing the use of force laws. We're simply saying that you don't have to retreat any longer before you use justifiable force to defend yourself, your loved ones, or an innocent third party. There's also a secondary caveat to that. So when the radical left loses their mind and the media screams about how it's going to be used to empower criminals, that can't happen, because we have right in the code, in the bill, you have to be lawfully present. It only applies if you are lawfully present. So for a criminal who is breaking into your home in the middle of the night, he can't claim stand your ground law if he shoots at you because you displayed your weapon at him. Any criminal who is breaking the law anywhere is not lawfully present. And so it does not protect criminals. It only protects innocent New Yorkers. So number one, no need to retreat. Number two, the bill provides specific criminal immunity language for gun owners. Now, what does that mean? It does not mean that you can do whatever you want and get away with it scot-free, as the left always likes to say. It simply says that if the force you use meets our current justifiable use of force statutes, you cannot be charged. And we need this protection because of the Alvin Braggs we have in our state. Many states, most states that have stand your ground law have these immunities as part of the bill to protect gun owners from radical left prosecutors. And there might have been a time we didn't need this, but with Alvin Bragg as a prosecutor, or the prosecutor who attacked Mark McCloskey in Missouri, or Kyle Rittenhouse in Wisconsin, we all know now that these prosecutors are not always pursuing justice, but many times are pursuing a political agenda backed up by their big donor, George Soros. We're going to fix that with this legislation here. Number 3, we're going to have civil immunity language in this legislation as well. Civil immunity. What that means is very simple. The same thug who victimizes you or tries to on the street would not be able to victimize you in civil court for damages after you shot him in self-defense. Because right now, if you use your firearm on somebody, that same piece of trash can sue you for damages. And the old phrase about civil court is, even if you win, you lose, because the cost of those legal fees can be astronomical. We're going to prevent that. So unless a gun owner is found guilty of criminal charges, they cannot be sued in civil court for damages. We're also going to cover the threatened use of force. That's number 4, the threatened use of force. You know, most encounters with a violent criminal where the would-be victim has a firearm, most of them end with no shots being fired. Mark McCloskey is example number 1 of this. A mob of hundreds. Some had firearms, some had blunt impact weapons, some had personal weapons like their fists. McCloskey displayed an AR-15. They left the scene, and the attack ended. Now, that's a very dramatic example, but it happens a lot. A would-be rape victim pulls her .38. A would-be armed robbery victim pulls his Glock 9. And the thug realizes this victim is not going to be a victim. They're going to shoot me instead. Well, right now, that is an assault charge in New York State. There is no protection right now for we'll call it the justifiable brandishing of a firearm. We're going to fix that in this bill. Everybody wants a use of force situation to end with no shots fired. We want the thug to run away. We want the attack to not begin. We want to not have to use our firearm for obvious reasons. But right now, that's not protected in the law. And the law should protect us when we de-escalate situations and are not forced to use our firearm in a defensive situation. The last big section of this bill, however, deals with how you can use or how you can assert these stand your ground law protections. You know, some states right now on that earlier list have stand your ground law, but it only comes into play on the appeal after your life is ruined, after you've gone through 12 or 18 months of hell on earth, after you're broke, after your neighbors all think you're a killer, after you've lost your job, after your life is a country song, then you can assert stand your ground law on appeal. That's ridiculous. Our legislation here has a built-in pre-trial immunity hearing process. What that means, very simply, is that your lawyer can go before the judge and tell the judge and say, Your Honor, my client stipulates he shot this individual. Here's the reason why. Here's our witness statements. Here's our security camera footage. Here's our Ring doorbell camera footage. Here's whatever evidence we have to validate that this was a justifiable use of force situation. If the judge agrees with you, that's it. You walk out the courtroom that day a free man. And that is it's an incalculable relief to a gun owner who's already gone through hell having to shoot somebody, but now has to wonder if he has to go through a year or a year and a half or a 2-year-long criminal trial to prove his actions were justifiable. So a pre-trial immunity hearing where you can assert these protections up front is the final major component of this bill. So now at this point, you may be asking yourself, well, this is still New York State, Aaron. So the idea of passing this seems rather daunting. Why are we working on this right now? It's a fair question. The answer to it is very simple. You know, the SAFE Act did not just pass with Democrat votes. Red flag laws in 2019 did not just pass with Democratic votes. The deadly safe storage laws that passed in 2019 did not just pass with Democratic votes. We need to be working to keep our own side in line as much as anything else right now in Albany to remind our pro-gun friends, and sometimes that's heavy sarcasm, that we expect them not to simply campaign as being pro-gun. We want them to act pro-gun here in Albany. And that starts with co-sponsoring pro-gun bills like Stand Your Ground law. If they never hear from us, if they never are told, we want you to do pro-gun things, we want you to file bills, co-sponsor bills, fight in committee, fight on the floor for gun rights, they're going to get very used to simply doing nothing. And then when the pressure mounts for gun control, they're going to find it that much easier to betray us because they're never getting pushback from the opposite side. That's why we had this bill filed, to advance freedom, to advance our gun rights, and to remind Republicans that we expect them to act like Republicans, not just on the campaign trail, but when they're safely in office here in Albany. So again, guys, hit the link below or above the video. Tell your lawmakers to co-sponsor Stand Your Ground law, and we'll keep you guys informed. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day, and share our video far and wide.